Researchers found that China's communist regime has moderate to heavy influence over 40% of European businesses acquired by Chinese companies in the last decade. Daytena, a Dutch consulting firm specializing in screening Chinese investments, looked at data from hundreds of European companies that have sold most or all of their shares to Chinese firms to find out how much influence the Chinese state has over the companies as a shareholder. The data is presented as China-EU FDI, Foreign Direct Investment Radar, an interactive map that illustrates levels of state influence. Based on the analysis of the Acquisitions Ultimate Beneficial Ownership (UBO), Daytena said in a statement, "The FDI radar is an ongoing research initiative aimed at providing greater transparency on Chinese investments in Europe." Currently, the map illustrates over 650 acquisitions since 2010. A quarter of the acquisitions were found to have high levels of influence by the Chinese state, meaning the ultimate controlling shareholder is part of the communist bureaucracy. Approximately 15% of acquisitions have medium state control, where state apparatus have a substantial stake but are not necessarily seen as controlling the company. The other 60% of the companies has no substantial state influence behind their investors. Over half of the acquisitions were in the UK, Germany and France. Daytena said it is extremely challenging to determine UBO in China because state influence is often buried under layers of ownership. Daytena said in a white paper published in September, "The government's influence in a legal entity is commonly found in several layers of ownership that can consist of a combination of central and local government investment vehicles, amongst others." Daytena used Dutch semiconductor company Amplion as an example, which was acquired by the Chinese company Jack Capital. Through 5 layers of investment vehicles, Jack Capital is controlled by the Chinese State Council, the highest administrative body in China's government. Therefore, according to Daytena's research, Amplion is under the majority control of the Chinese regime. After the acquisition of Amplion by Jack Capital in 2015, Amplion's CEO, Rainer Beltman, told the Microwave Journal that it would specifically target the aerospace and defense market moving forward. As a European company, Amplion is not subject to America's ITAR, International Traffic in Arms legislation. According to Daytena, Amplion claims to be the only company in the world that can produce high-quality GaN, gallium nitride technology outside ITAR legislation and are therefore uniquely positioned to sell this technology for use in commercial and defense products. Beltman told the Microwave Journal that GaN technology is used in commercial aviation and radar applications, aerospace and defense systems and broadband solutions. According to Daytena, it is estimated that over half of all mobile telephone conversations in the world go through Amplion chips, which are also included in the radar systems of the Dutch Navy. Another example is the 2017 acquisition of Imagination Technologies, widely regarded as one of Britain's most important technology companies. According to Daytena, the semiconductor and software design company whose technology is used in almost 1/3 of smartphones worldwide is now controlled by the Chinese government, after it was acquired by investment firm Canyon Bridge. Through 7 layers of investment vehicles, Canyon Bridge is controlled by the Chinese State Council. The UK government, under the then Prime Minister Theresa May, approved the deal on the basis that Canyon Bridge was regulated by US law due to it being incorporated in the United States. However, Canyon Bridge moved its headquarters to the Cayman Islands after US President Donald Trump issued an executive order blocking Canyon Bridge from buying US semiconductor company Lattice. US Treasury Secretary and Chair of the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, CFIUS, Stephen Mnuchin, said that the transaction poses a risk to the national security of the United States that cannot be resolved through mitigation. Mnuchin said in a statement that the national security risk relates to, among other things, the potential transfer of intellectual property to the foreign acquirer, the Chinese government's role in supporting this transaction, the importance of semiconductor supply chain integrity to the US government, and the use of Lattice products by the US government. In April 2020, UK Culture and Media Minister Oliver Dowden intervened when Canyon Bridge moved to appoint board members with links to China Reform Holdings, which is owned by the Chinese State Council. Imagine Technologies CEO Ron Black resigned from his post along with Chief Product Officer Steve Evans and Chief Technical Officer John Rayfield. Sky News reported that Evans wrote in his resignation letter, "I will not be part of a company that is effectively controlled by the Chinese government."
U.S. President Donald Trump was quickly released from a hospital on October 6th after being diagnosed with COVID-19. Hua Chunying, a spokeswoman for the Chinese Communist Party's foreign ministry, criticized Trump on Twitter for getting the finest treatment. This prompted derision from netizens who demanded that the CCP walk the walk and withdraw special medical benefits for senior officials and party members. U.S. President Donald Trump went to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center for treatment on October 2nd. Following his diagnosis of COVID-19, he was released from the hospital at 7 p.m. Friday. Sincerely hope all of them can receive the same finest treatment and care as the president, Hua Chunying, the CCP's foreign ministry spokesperson, said on Twitter. The post immediately triggered a barrage of criticism from netizens. Netizen Momo said, "Auntie Hua's suggestion is good, but could you ask your master to cancel the wards for high-ranking officials in Beijing and other places first?" Zhao Shulin, a retired professor from mainland China, also tweeted, "As we are all Chinese, should we first demand that ordinary Chinese patients be treated equally as high-ranking officials? We dare not expect to go to the wards for high-ranking officials, but only hope that the abolition of these wards will immediately solve the problem of the difficulty and cost of seeing a doctor for all Chinese people." Hua Chunying's remarks are ridiculous, said Zhao Ming, a former sales representative of Shanxi Renzi Pharmaceutical Co., Limited. Can ordinary Chinese people get the same medical treatment as CCP officials?
Communist officials at all levels are treated differently and given a variety of privileges in every respect. For example, in terms of food, they have their own special provision, while ordinary people do not. In terms of medical treatment, they have high-ranking official wards. Some large hospitals, like the 301 hospital in Beijing, are prepared for those officials in a CCP headquarters.
Zhao says that CCP officials consume 80% of China's medical resources each year, while ordinary people can't afford to see a doctor, and many sick seniors can only wait at home to die. The U.S. healthcare system doesn't allow patients to be turned away from public hospitals because of money. Can the CCP do that?
I come from China. I was in the drug business and went to hospitals every day. I saw a lot of people who were pushed out because they couldn't afford the hospital cost. Some just stayed in the corridor. Some were forced to stop receiving medication and kicked out of wards, lying with quilts in front of the hospital and waiting to die, begging and crying. There were so many of them, countless.
You don't see this phenomenon in the U.S. at all, Zhao said. So what right does the CCP foreign ministry have to accuse the U.S. president of enjoying privileges?
In fact, the CCP officials have privileges in every aspect, and they always think that other democratic countries also enjoy those privileges. The whole presumption of Hua Chunying is actually very bad.
Zhang Jian, a U.S.-based China watcher, said that Hua Chunying's remarks insult people on both sides.
On one hand, for us overseas Chinese people, we have a strong contrast. We can see how different the healthcare systems are between the CCP and Western democracies. Each of us clearly has basic common sense that the head of a country is naturally supposed to enjoy the highest medical services, the highest security measures, and the highest healthcare.
Zhang said the state gives him such a treatment because the president has a national mission, but such treatment will gradually decrease after his term in office.
On the other hand, I believe Hua Chunying's remarks are a mockery of all Chinese people under CCP rule. I think even for those CCP supporters in China, they all feel the same way about how shameless Hua Chunying is, because for these people, as well, their families, relatives, and loved ones are suffering from the injustice of the medical system, which has caused them serious physical and mental harm.
Zhang Jian said Hua's comments were actually a slap in the face to the CCP. Even China's small county heads and mayors enjoy a level of care that no ordinary Chinese can claim, let alone the top officials of the CCP. After a backlash against Hua's comments, the Global Times editor-in-chief, Hu Xijin, took to his Weibo account to defend Hua, saying the foreign ministry's comments were only for foreigners, and criticized netizens who posted comments in support of the U.S. for sitting on the wrong side of their seats. Hu has provoked renewed outrage online. One netizen said, "It's not that common Chinese citizens are sitting askew, but that the foreign ministry is always askew. It only speaks for the Americans, Black Lives Matter, and doesn't care about the Chinese people. It wishes to use all the Chinese as a cannon fodder." Another netizen commented, "It is unheard of for the foreign ministry of a country to speak and dare not let its citizens know about it. The main problem is that the interests of the CCP and Chinese people are fundamentally at odds."
Corruption has become rampant among local Chinese Communist Party (CCP) organizations, according to a series of leaked documents obtained by the Epoch Times. The reports reveal that in Chifeng City, Inner Mongolia, local CCP authorities buy their votes, collude with criminal groups, and steal government funds. A notice dated August 2019 from the Organization Department of the Inner Mongolia Party Committee revealed the scope of gang-related activities among low-level officials in Chifeng City. According to the document, 2,743 candidates were disqualified in administrative village elections, and 505 current members of residential committees were ineligible for public offices. The organization department admitted that it failed to crack down on illegal gang activities and lacked oversight in grassroots organization management in certain areas. According to data compiled in June 2018, the major members of the villagers' committees and party branches in Chifeng City were involved in unlawful activities such as theft, gambling, embezzlement, vote buying, organizing and colluding with mafia groups, human trafficking, beating, and even murder. Another leaked document revealed that Liang Shaofei, the party chief of Liangho village, Yihegong town, Ongniud banner, was reported to have been successfully elected in June 2018 by buying votes at 1,000 yuan, $147 each. Evidence includes a recorded testimony of Zhang Dianjin, who helped Liang lobby for votes. Liang had also helped her husband's brother, Bizhi Zhang, get elected into the local party branch by buying votes. Another vote-buying case involved Guan Cheng, the head of Sandago village, Wudun Taohai town, Ongniud banner. Guan was elected at the cost of 200 yuan, $29, for each vote. Afterwards, he turned into a local despot with the help of his family influence. In return, he became their protective umbrella, indulging them in a variety of illegal activities. Guan himself beat fellow villagers, seized land and collective assets according to leaked reports. A whistleblower claimed that he had reported Guan's unlawful acts to the local police, but they have not yet opened an investigation. Commentator Li Linyi said that vote buying has become widespread and that new guidelines are needed to curb the illegal practice. In July this year, the CCP rolled out a new regulation on electoral activities. Under Article 35, the law prohibits forming political factions, the CCP fears being outnumbered or opposed by other factions, buying votes, or leaking state secrets. Another leaked document revealed a corruption case in Da Xiying village, Qiaotou town, Ongniud banner, which involved Party Secretary Wang Shuhai, Party Committee Accountant Zhang Zhu, and Party Committee member Wang Yan. The whistleblower was the former head of the same village committee, Zhang Rong. Zhang accused them of pocketing several million yuan of government poverty relief funds or benefits. Zhang also claimed they falsified records to gain benefits in the name of deceased fellow residents. Zhang claimed that he took a risk in reporting their illegal activities because he was repeatedly turned away by all levels of government offices that tried to conceal or downplay the severity of the case even after they reluctantly agreed to look into the matter. According to Zhang, even the local watchdog and procuratorate authorities were no exceptions. The Epoch Times has so far not found evidence of the above suspects being brought to justice after searching through records available to the public. In January 2018, Beijing launched its campaign to sweep away blackness and eliminate evil. authorities announced that it would be a 3-year campaign to eliminate mafia and gang organizations across the country. In reality, the campaign is focused on local officials who have provided protection to local mafia and criminal groups. In China, it's common for officials to protect criminal groups from prosecution in exchange for bribes. It is reported, though rarely, that even some CCP officials and public servants themselves admit that the CCP is a mafia group. According to a video posted on the official Weibo, a Chinese microblogging platform, account of state-run weekly bulletin for all walks of life, 各界道报 in Chinese, on June 7, 2018, a community party secretary at Zhen'an County, Shanglou City, Shanxi Province, wrote, "The CCP is the largest mafia group of all. Like it or not, you must obey it. When you're told to head east, you mustn't head west."
According to information obtained exclusively by the Epoch Times, the secretary of the Jilin Provincial Party Committee, Bai Yin Chaolu, once promoted sensitive equipment and services such as electronic ID cards for monitoring people to Belt and Road countries. The Epoch Times recently obtained internal CCP documents showing that during the visit to Myanmar in August 2018, Jilin Provincial Party Committee Secretary Bai Yin Chaolu peddled the CCP's Population ID project to the Myanmar government. Current affairs commentator Li Linyi believes that the Chongchun Hongda group promoted by Bai Yin Chaolu is nominally a private company, but this private company is actually cooperating with Huawei in some overseas countries, promoting projects such as electronic ID cards.
In fact, this kind of electronic ID card project is very sensitive. Actually, a private company in Jilin can work with Huawei to complete this project, which reflects a very serious problem. How many state-controlled enterprises in China are actually disguised as private companies? In fact, they are similar to state-owned enterprises.
Li Linyi believes that the advancement of these sensitive projects will allow some countries to accept the CCP's manipulation because the most important information of their citizens will fall into the CCP's hands. It was found from more documents that the CCP's ambitions also include infiltrating foreign military forces. When visiting Laos in 2016, Bai Yin Chaolu promoted the Digital Military Project to the Lao Ministry of National Defense. The Digital Military Project will capture and save the information and credentials of non-commissioned officers into the digital military camp system.
Bai Yin Chaolu's visit to Laos and Myanmar reveals that the CCP wants to control important Belt and Road countries. The CCP has been doing this, and it really wants to control these countries through exporting these sensitive projects.
The document reveals that local governments are actively helping Chinese companies such as Huawei and Hongda to export technical services such as smart cities. Its goal is to export the Safe City, Skynet project, and other technological projects that have turned China into a huge prison to overseas countries.